Am I the a-hole for telling my mom I am successful despite her, not thanks to her parenting? For context, I, 31 male, have a brother, Paul, 33 male, who is a screw-up. He's a felon, breaking into people's homes to steal valuables. And in general, Paul has no work ethic, no drive to improve, no moral compass. He's rude, cruel, and uneducated. I, on the other hand, have a PhD from my country's top university, and I started my own company which is now employing 5 people full-time plus myself and my significant other. Our lives, our mother, Mary, 63 years old, favored Paul strongly. The greasy wheels get the grease principle. I could bring home perfect grades, and Paul all failing grades besides one barely passing grade, and Mom would fall over herself congratulating Paul and buying him a new iPod. Well, my grades barely get me a nod of acknowledgement. I worked jobs after school ended summer, only for my salaries to be stolen by Paul to buy weed, and Mom always gave him a pass. Our mother is a very warm woman, and I can tell that she wanted to celebrate even the tiniest achievement of Paul's to encourage him, and she didn't have the heart to punish/discipline either me or my brother, but in the end, it screwed over both Paul and me. Paul was taught that Mom will always bail him out, and that stealing is consequence-free, until the actual police was involved and not just our mom. I have been slowly unraveling with my therapist all the ways in which being essentially wallpaper my whole childhood led me to having attachment issues, intense anxiety, abysmally low self-worth, and an unhealthy habit to both bury myself in work and always feel like a failure no matter how much I accomplish. Then Mom called me today to invite me to a big party to celebrate Paul getting a job. It's unskilled, in retail. By now, I fully expect Paul to be fired, or just decide to stop showing up less than 1 week in. I told Mom no, because we live in different cities and it's not worth celebrating that mediocrity. It led to a heated conversation, and eventually her telling me that I need to give back because I'm prosperous. I shot back that I work to earn all I have, and with a mother like her, it was an uphill battle. She told me she always supported me, and I told her what I typed above, and hung up angry. She texted me I'm sorry you feel that way and that I'm still welcome to Paul's party. I've been pacing and restless. Was I an a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. It sounds like you reached your limit, and you're trying to set better boundaries for your own mental well-being. Definitely discuss with your therapist how you're feeling about what you said. Maybe they can give you a suggestion of how to address your mother in the future. I will. Therapy's Friday and it's gonna bother me until then, but I will absolutely address it with my therapist. If you haven't already, I suggest emailing your therapist what happened ahead of time, so they know what you want to address at a session, and or writing out what happened. It can help you relieve feelings and make sure you remember what you wanted to bring up. Hope the session goes well and helps you. Not stay home. I'm sorry you feel that way is a BS answer. You feel that way because of her neglect. And you're right. Celebrating him getting a retail job that you believe he'll lose in a short time is meaningless. If anything, further contact with either your mother or Paul will encourage them to start asking for things. She's going to expect you to allow your brother to bleed you dry just like she did. I think you're better off cutting both these people entirely loose. Not stay home. Your standards are higher and it would benefit you to stay away and visit Mom and the family on a different day when they aren't celebrating Paul. It'll put you in a bad mood while that's going on. I've been quietly trying to avoid seeing Mom when Paul is around, but it's hard because he still lives under her roof, and the distance means that each travel to see Mom is a tall affair lasting days. I rarely see her these days, and the pandemic just worsened what was already happening. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my 24 male twin sister 24 female that she no longer has a brother? So I had a fiance 24 female and I just knew she was the woman I'd spend my life with. She was great in every way. Her and my sister clicked greatly and they became best friends, which was huge for me because my sister and I were best friends as well. So I'd go on double dates with her and her now husband. I found out my fiancé was cheating on me and blew up on her. She cried and said the usual stuff, but I was destroyed and called off our engagement and broke up with her. She ended up getting in a relationship with her affair partner, which stands to this day. Afterwards, before I blocked my ex and everything as I simply forgot, I saw her post on Facebook a picture of her new boyfriend happily hanging out with my sister and her then fiancé. I got angry at my sister and told her I thought it was wrong for her to do that. I know that she's a grown woman, but I thought that she would be mad at her too, especially since we are so close. We are twins. She tried to explain to me that she loves me more than anyone, but that she cherishes her friendship with my ex and didn't want to let either of us go. I ignored her after that and she called me. We went back and forth, her trying to plead with me and me angrily refusing to see her point of view. I then told her, have fun with your new friendship. Don't contact me again. I'm done with you. And then blocked her and my ex and everything. Since then, I moved from our old apartment and have gotten a new one and changed my number. My father and a few trusted friends have this info and have been instructed not to give it to my sister. My father had been telling me that my sister had been distraught and wanting to talk to me, but I was pretty adamant that I didn't want to. He obliged. Then she called me on a new number and told me she was getting married and that she would love for me to be there. I was ecstatic at first, but then I remembered my ex had asked if she and her new boyfriend would be there, to which she replied that she was going to be a bridesmaid and that the boyfriend would be there. I then told her that as of now, we are both only children. A little harsh, but I was angry. I hung up the phone and blocked the number. They are married now, but my dad tells me that she is visibly distressed and that he's afraid it will take a toll on her marriage. I don't want this to happen, but I am in no way over any of this. I still feel betrayed twice. I don't really want to see her at all. My biggest thing is that when she was cheated on by her college boyfriend, who I became friends with, I scolded him and comforted her. But when I get heartbroken by my fiancé and soon-to-be wife, she feels like it's okay to mingle with her and the guy who helped break us up. It's as if I don't matter. Although I love her to death, I feel a lot of hatred towards her right now. So, am I the a-hole for telling her that we are only children from now on and completely shutting her out of my life? Look, while it's true that you do not control her and who she's friends with, you control yourself and your actions. You asked her to give up her friendship with someone who betrayed you. She refused. You decided that you didn't want her in your life anymore. The condition you've laid for her to be in your life is that she give up your ex. She doesn't want to. Clearly, she values that relationship than her relationship with you. Either that or she's expecting you to come around to her way of thinking. As long as you stick to your guns and don't go around harassing your sister or ex, I think you're not the a-hole. She's allowed to make her choices, but then so are you. I feel like that's what it comes down to. Sister had to make a choice and doesn't want to live with the consequences. Also, don't be swayed by your father's report about your sister being visibly distressed and is worried that it will have repercussions for her marriage. Anything that happens will be a direct result of her own decisions to value her friendship with your ex-fiancé over you. You certainly do not owe anything to her, much less your forgiveness in order to save her marriage or your relationship to each other. She made her own bed, and she can lie in it. Sister didn't want to let either of us go. And when she had to pick, she didn't pick you. But she wants to make amends? How would that work? She just wants to have her cake and eat it too. Not stay home. Also, your dad said that she's visibly distressed and that he's afraid it will take a toll on her marriage. How so? Unless she cheats on her significant other like her BFF did to you. If I had to guess, the husband was an OP side about all this and the sister ignored him to get her way. Not an a-hole. The amount of people who truly think OP is an a-hole is astonishing. Dude's life gets nuked, and you all are like, get over it. She can gloss over his heartbreak, but when he does it, he's in the wrong? So much for empathy. So many fakers out here. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to go on a vacation with my family due to my bratty nieces also being invited? The people invited on a vacation. My parents, 48 female/52 male. My pregnant sister, 25 female, her husband, 29 male, and their daughter, 6 female/4 female. Myself, 23 male. My sister, 21 female. My parents planned a family vacation for us from December 26 to January 1. They rented a cottage upstate with enough room for all of us. I don't want to go if my nieces will be there. I know I sound like a horrible uncle, but there's a reason for it. My sister/brother-in-law are earth parent types. My nieces were born at home with only sister, brother-in-law, and a midwife, who doesn't have any medical background or credentials present. They literally let my nieces do whatever they want. For meals, my nieces are allowed to choose what they eat. So if they want ice cream or cookies, that's what they get. My sister/brother-in-law won't make them eat anything they don't want to. They aren't sending my nieces to school. I thought they meant homeschooling, but they are letting my nieces decide if and when they want to learn something. My sister calls it unschool. Neither can count past 10. They don't always get the letters of the alphabet right, and neither can write their own name. They are more interested in the tablets or watching stuff online. I don't even know how this is legal, but I looked it up and it's here. My nieces choose their own bedtime, so they can stay up all night. They sleep with my sister/brother-in-law and can't sleep without their parents there, so all their sleep schedules are messed up. They can't stand to be away from sister to the point they follow her to the bathroom. My sister can't even go to the store without them or there's a tantrum. They are glued to her. My brother-in-law can get away with a few hours. One time we went skating, and it was just cold enough to be slightly uncomfortable. My niece didn't want to wear a coat, and my sister/brother-in-law didn't make her. They said she would experience the natural consequences of her actions, but she was 3 at the time. They've never been to a doctor. One of them purposely broke a neighbor's window, and my sister/brother-in-law don't do forced apologies, so niece didn't have to apologize to the neighbor. One of my nieces threw a tantrum because I wouldn't give her my coffee. My sister/brother-in-law made more and gave it to her and said they can have whatever they want. And I should have given her mine. It's hard enough for a few hours. I can't take a week in an isolated cottage with a single satellite TV, no internet, no cell phone reception. The cottage has a landline phone, and cold weather with only one vehicle for all of us. If my nieces weren't going, I would love something like this though. My work always closes between Christmas and New Year's, so I can't say I'm working. At Thanksgiving, I told my parents I have no plans before they ask. I declined without saying why, and upset was an understatement at my parents' reaction. They are pressuring me to go because everyone else said yes. Does it make me the a-hole for declining? They're not happy. Now for the comments. Not only should you not go, you should tell them exactly why. Leaving that part out is the mistake. Tell them, stay home, have a nice vacation, the end. Not stay home. Let them experience the natural consequences of their actions. Yeah, they're setting their kids up for failure. Shaking my head. Not stay home. Dude, imagine not sending your kids to school, and then also not teaching them skills and raising them to be addicted to their phones at a young age. I feel so bad for these kids. Info, why were your parents so upset? Do they think that the girl's behavior is okay, or do they simply want every one of you to be miserable together? My parents don't seem to be bothered by my nieces at all. They're upset because they wanted this to be family time together. If my nieces weren't there, I would love something like this. I think they're hurt because I'm the only one who declined and my work is closed. And they know I don't have prior plans, so there's no reason in their minds. Not stay home. That sounds like a terrible situation to be stuck in. That also sounds like child mistreatment. Those kids deserve medical care and proper schooling, and they are being set up for failure when they enter adult society. I literally can't believe the people who do this to their children. In my opinion, it is extremely abusive. Denying children any stability at all is a truly terrible thing to do. These are not going to be healthy or capable adults in any way, even before the fact that they literally have no education or social skills. I seriously hope state governments step in and make this illegal and start cracking down and checking records. I'm not opposed to properly done homeschool, but it seems like most people now aren't doing it correctly at all. They just stick their kids in front of a screen for 2 hours a day and leave it at that. I don't understand how you can do that to a human. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not carrying on a tradition my family started with my step-family? My mom died 8 years ago. She had me, 17 female, my sisters 14 female, 12 female, and my brothers 13 male, 11 male, with my dad. Dad is remarried. His wife has 2 kids of her own, 10 female and 9 female, and together they have 2, 3 male and 1 female. When I was born, Mom bought me a necklace. Not a super fancy one, but something that could be customized and added to, and she added each of my siblings. And when they were born, they got them too, with all our names on them. We all have them. We all wear them. It's something special for us. A few months ago, my sisters noticed my baby brother's necklace. It asked him about it. He explained it was a necklace our mom gave each of us, and was a tradition we had as siblings. This brought up questions about why they and our half-siblings were never included. My dad asked me about it when he remarried, and I told him it was something I wanted to continue with the steps. He left it there. His wife did bring it up several more times, and ultimately was unhappy that I didn't want to keep it alive, because I was always my mom's helper with them for my siblings, it was seen as changing the tradition if I didn't want to be part of it. My dad and his wife ended up getting a different thing to symbolize the blended family. But the question ultimately came back to the tradition started by my mom. My dad asked me the other day why I didn't want to continue the tradition with a step family. I told him it didn't feel right to me to continue my mom's tradition with people who are not my mom's family. He asked if that was the only reason. I admitted to him that I love my siblings more, and if I'm honest, I'm not sure love comes into the relationship I have with the steps or halves. That I don't feel very strong emotions for my step or half siblings, and I see even our future adult relationships differently. He told me he was glad I was honest. Yesterday, his wife cornered me and told me her girls are still upset we didn't keep the tradition, that they feel unaccepted, and like they're not true siblings and we're not a true family because I didn't want to do it for them. She then said my influence has my siblings feeling the five of us are more bonded to each other than with the steps and halves. She said not wanting to continue it shows that I'm okay with hurting people, and that it makes me a very cruel person. Am I the a-hole? You are not the a-hole. The necklace was a tradition with your mom, and your stepmom is never going to replace or take over the place in your heart where your love for your mom is. She has no right to try and manipulate you like this. Keep talking to your dad about how you were feeling as you navigate the situation. And I would tell stepmom that as an adult, her trying to bully 5 children who lost their mother and just want to keep her memory alive makes her a very cruel person. And a selfish a-hole. Not the a-hole. The tradition your mother started was for her children. Your stepmother's children are in no way related to your mother. Ignore her. Your decision honors your mother and is not cruel. Not the a-hole. Tell her that she's being hurtful and cruel to you. Do not let her guilt you. She's supposed to be the adult in the family, not the pouty kid who wants everything. Do speak with your dad and let him know what your stepmom is doing and how uncomfortable you feel about her. Update. Am I the a-hole for bringing up just how much I actually do for our household to my wife? Original post. Can't believe I actually have a reason to post something on Reddit, but here I am. My wife, 41 female, and I, 42 male, have been married for 15 years. I apparently surprised her by being capable of doing household chores and tasks, which I didn't think much of. My mom always asked me to help out with chores when I was a kid, so I didn't think it was beneath me or anything. I do think I inherited her need to clean excessively, like it's so bad that I can't eat until a mess is dealt with. My mom is an amazing cook. My aunt was a literal chef at a fancy hotel, and my dad loved having barbecues. It was pretty natural to learn from them and pick up a thing or two. The only thing I didn't pick up was how to make a decent cup of tea or coffee. I'm genuinely awful at it. It got to a point where I was handling most of the household chores and taking care of cooking, which I prefer anyway since she comes home exhausted. I've been asking our children, 11 female and 9 male, to do some minor tasks around the house and hopefully teach them this sort of thing too. She has a group of friends who hang out regularly. This time, it was her turn to host the group at her home. I offered to take our children out for the day and it was all set. Before we left, I had to finish up some things for work. The office space is practically on top of our living room, so I could hear what they were talking about the entire time. One of the friends asked how she always kept our house so spotless, and my wife just bragged about how she was responsible for it all. Then they all started talking about their gripes with their marriages. A common theme was how unhelpful their spouses were. I felt pretty uncomfortable, so I just left the office and went out with the kids. I came back after they had left for the night and acted as normal until we got to our bedroom. I asked her what was up with that conversation they had and pointed out that I did the cooking and cleaning in our marriage. She told me not to take it personally and that she just wanted to fit in with the struggles of her friends. Now I just feel unappreciated, especially since I don't clearly remember any genuine gratitude for what I do from her. Since then, she's been pretty short with me. She says I'm weaponizing what I'm doing against her and holding it over her head. I don't expect her to compliment me each time I clean or defend me religiously. Just a little, my husband is pretty helpful actually, he does his share, would be nice. I can't help but feel like her friends think I'm some sort of deadbeat who comes home to relax and neglect her. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. You're not weaponizing what you're doing against her. You're just insisting that she doesn't lie about you and badmouth you to her friends, which is exactly what she is doing. She knows that she is in the wrong here, hence her hostile response. She doesn't have a reasonable defense for her behavior. Personally, I wouldn't let this go. Her friends are people you will have to socialize with from time to time, and therefore what they think about you does matter. Love it. His wife is accusing him of weaponizing his competence. That's a fresh take on here. It is even more messed up that she is bad-mouthing her own husband to fit in with her friends, when in truth, she knows her husband goes above and beyond for her and her family. I would not have reacted as well as you. You're a better man than me, not the a-hole. I didn't want to ruin her day or make things awkward with her friends, so I only asked her about what happened the night in our bedroom. Like I said, you're a better man than me. I'd have dropped the bomb and bounced. You did the right thing, I think. Are you a stay-at-home father? We both work. She makes about $100K a year while I make around $70K. She earns more, but she's definitely not the only income in our household. What makes my job great is that my boss lets me have a lot of flexibility, so I can work from home and take care of the house and kids as long as I give him a heads up. Sounds like she needs a sample of being in charge of everything for a few weeks. I don't think she could do it, purely because of her job. I've got a lot of flexibility and leeway with my boss that allows me to do whatever I need to do at home or handle our children. She doesn't have that benefit and genuinely comes home about 6 to 7 p.m. exhausted. Now for the first update. I'm pretty shocked this post went as viral as it did, and I tried my best to talk to my wife yesterday. I just can't believe this is the woman I married. I tried speaking with her, explaining that while what she did wasn't the worst thing, it still wasn't a nice thing to do. She didn't appreciate me bringing it up again and told me to suck it up and stop complaining about one mistake. She apologized, but it sounded like she just was tired of dealing with the issue. I could see her getting heated and on the verge of starting an argument, so I backed off and changed the subject. I asked if we could adjust our responsibilities at home to be more balanced, since most of the household management falls to me. Almost everything, about 90%, like cooking, cleaning, and even planning our date nights and family vacations, relies on me. I do think it's an issue she gets to come home and simply say she's tired. She then got in my face, saying I had no right to lecture her about chores since I'm home most of the time. She refused to listen and insisted that our current arrangement works best for our situation. She threw it in my face that she's the primary earner and said that balances everything out. Even this morning, she was visibly annoyed, coming downstairs in a bad mood. I'm pretty sure our kids noticed it too, but I drove them to school after they got ready. When I got back, I saw that my wife had left her packed lunch on the kitchen counter. So now I'm sitting here feeling like the woman I've known for 15 years hates me. She's been ignoring my texts and attempts to call her. I guess I'll have to address this issue properly even if it makes her angry. I can't just let her act like this, especially in front of our children. She's not entitled to be acting the way she's acting, given how you realistically do all the housework. She's an adult woman throwing a fit like a child because she was called out and lying to her friends about the amount of effort she puts in around the house. Maybe if she's offended by you calling her out, she should step up and help out more instead of whining at you for being right. I read this with a gender switched and yikes. It kind of does sound worse. Wife is a major a-hole. Any disrespectful one to speak that way about her husband like that and continue to double down. My mother-in-law did this, and when called out more, she doubled down then cried that she doesn't have a family because no one backed her up. Some people are too far up their own behind to smell anything but crap. Is she cheating? We haven't had any reason to doubt each other in our relationship, so no. I don't think she even has the energy to bother trying. Second update. I think I'm just done at this point. For the first time, I did something I've never done before. I went through her phone while she was sleeping. We both know each other's passwords, so it wasn't difficult. Some of the comments about possible cheating got to me and I felt paranoid about the situation. Instead, I found a group chat with some of her work friends, different from the friends she had over recently. It was filled with non-stop mockery of me and the things I do for her. She told them how embarrassed she feels to be with me, saying I dote on her like a parent and don't feel like her husband.
The lunches I pack for her are humiliating because I add sweets and treats I know she likes. Some of her coworkers teased her about the snacks I pack, and she admitted to just throwing them out at work. She has no issue eating them at home, but at work, she throws out my baking. She also had some pretty hurtful things to say about me in the chat, things I don't even have the courage to type out here. One of the pictures she shared was edited to make it look like I was scrubbing a bathroom tile in a 1960s housewife dress, as if to mock me for doing chores. I just closed her phone and left the bedroom. In the morning, I confronted her about the chat and its contents, which made her panic. I focused on our kids, taking care of their needs, and left her to herself. It's not like she'd have appreciated a kid's lunch anyway. Now she's been texting me nonstop at the office, but I think I've lost all respect for her and what she's become. Not only does she find me overbearing and embarrassing as a husband, but she mocks me to her friends and shares sensitive details about our relationship with them. This will probably be the last update, as I don't think she can come back from this. We just celebrated our 15th anniversary last month, and now after seeing what my wife truly thinks of me, I feel like a fool. I hope she ends up with some slob who sits on his butt drinking beer while she does all the cooking and cleaning, since that's apparently her idea of what a husband should be like. Divorce her and push for full custody of your children for their sake. She neither wants to do chores or have a partner who does chores for her. There's no way she can keep a household fit for kids like that. Preach. She needs to spend a few days on Reddit reading every story about every deadbeat husband. She had no idea what she had. I bet she LARPs as the wife of a deadbeat online, since she claimed to do all the housework to her coworkers. She just wants to be told that she's an incredible wife to an undeserving husband. Sorry it came to this. Good luck moving forward, OP. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to include my grandparents in my life after years of them treating me and my siblings like we were bastards? So I'm a 16-year-old girl, and my parents, 48 male and 50 female, had an affair that resulted in my birth. My dad's family was outraged and cut him off after he divorced his first wife. They never acknowledged me or my siblings, 14 female, 11 female twins, and 9 female, as their grandkids. When I was younger, it hurt seeing my dad's other kids getting outings and a lot of presents at Christmas. But once I hit my early teens, I just kind of stopped caring. Adding to that, I hated how they treated my mom, so I really didn't want much to do with them. My dad has never forced us to spend time with them, thankfully. It's not like they cared much about us anyway. Once my dad's other kids were old enough, they left to live with their mom and stopped visiting much. I was actually glad to have all that negativity gone, honestly. Around the time I turned 12, it seemed like they had a change of heart and started trying to get close to us. But it didn't work, not even with my sister Anna, who is the sweetest girl ever. I guess calling kids bastards and treating them like unwanted things kind of makes them not want you around. Crazy, right? Anyway, I'm in my school's science club, and we recently had a big event. My club and I got a table and did a presentation of all the things we made. I was super excited. About a week after the event, I was talking about it while my dad's dad was there. He turned to me and asked why I didn't invite him. I told him I only wanted my family there. He said he is family, and I replied, "Are you though?" Because I thought I was just some bastard kid you didn't claim until only 4 years ago. He got mad, but my dad stepped in. Now I'm getting messages from his other grandkids calling me an a-hole, but I don't think I am. Am I? The saying you reap what you sow seems to fit here. Grandparents didn't care about you until the older ones don't have time for them. You don't owe them a relationship now that they're lonely. I often tell people who do something really crappy to others that there will be a price to pay. Your situation with your grandparents is just such a situation. Treating kids like that, blaming them for something the adults did, is unforgivable in my opinion. I agree with your decision to not include your grandparents in your life and would do the same thing. Sometimes people need to learn that just because you've had a change of heart doesn't mean the people you've hurt had one too. And learn they can't just skate back into someone's life after years of treating them like dog excrement. I'm not gonna tell you this should be your stance forever. It's up to you, of course. But if this were me, I would require a lot more effort on their part than just suddenly acting like you've always been family. Good luck, whatever you decide. The real a-holes here are the parents. They are twice the a-holes, one for the affair and twice for allowing grandparents to have access to the children. Last story. Am I the a-hole for laughing at my ex's mother and telling her how much child support I've been receiving? My ex and I parted ways back in 2023, and ever since, communication with him and his family has been rocky. He wasn't interested in providing for our child, 6, so I had to apply for child maintenance. He currently owes around £1,300 in child support, but has only paid about £120 in total. I've never been on good terms with his parents. Among other things, they asked me not to apply for child maintenance, saying their son couldn't afford it. So you could say we're not exactly friends. Here's where the problem started. They recently found out about several concerts I'm planning to attend. While I did post about it on social media, they don't have access to my accounts, so I'm not sure how they found out. During a recent child drop-off, my ex's mother got very upset over my concert plans and started lecturing me about wasting the child support on myself, and so on. I couldn't hold it in and started laughing, which only made her angrier. Once she finished ranting and I stopped giggling, I told her that her son's child support wouldn't even cover the travel cost of my trip, and that she could rest assured I don't live off of it. I explained that it wouldn't even be enough to raise my child, let alone support us both. I probably should have left it at that, but I added that so far, we've received about £10 a month. I said that without doing the exact math. Truthfully, it's about £11. I added that it doesn't even cover the cost of the fruit my child eats, so neither of them has any say in how I spend my own money. For context, I work full-time and support my child and myself with my own earnings. She called me a liar and stormed off. Now their whole family is upset with me, saying I was rude and demanding I apologize. They also said I was an a-hole for mentioning the exact amount of child support, since it puts my ex in a bad light. My friends are divided. Some found the situation hilarious, while others think it was fair to stand up for myself, but say I shouldn't have told the exact amount. In my defense, I had no idea it was such a sensitive topic. I genuinely thought she didn't care about the amount and was just upset that I was getting any money at all. Also, for what it's worth, my child didn't witness this interaction. She was already inside, and I'm sure it would have gone differently if she had been present. So, am I the a-hole for laughing and telling her how much child support I've been receiving? Nope. I told everyone about the £10 per month my kids were expected to live off of to anyone who told me I was living off of my ex's hard-earned dosh. If he's a deadbeat, make sure everyone knows about it, because I'm not going to work my butt off to maintain my children in a good lifestyle whilst he takes the credit. My ex was similarly upset because I set the record straight. Apparently, I caused his manliness hurt he feels, or something I couldn't give a crap about. OP not the a-hole. Yes, when I was attacked for stealing his tax return, I pointed out that that only happens when there are arrears. Oh, so it's paid up now? Yes, for 2018. I've already paid for what the kids need. When his tax return comes, I buy some extras. I was accused of stealing our tax refund. Ex thought he was being smart, changing his address to his mother's. About a week after he did that, I got the refund at our house because it was addressed to both of us. He also thought he was being so smart when he closed the checking account. He forgot about the joint savings account. I deposited a check in there and gave him a check for half. He blew up because he thought he deserved 60% since he made more money, but we both signed the form and were both liable for any taxes due. Fair is fair. He told his family I went to his mother's house and took the check from the counter, saying I left my red hot lipstick on a glass. When I heard that, I laughed so hard I about peed myself. If he had gotten that check, I would never have seen any of it. Update: my wife admitted to poking holes in my condoms. Original post: I have no one to talk to about this. I just want to type it out to make more sense of it. My wife, Pam, and I are both 35. We met back in college and have been married for 6 years. Even when we were just good friends, I was always vocal about my indifference to children. I wanted to focus on my career and figure myself out before I even thought about bringing a human into this world. Pam was aware of this when we started dating, but she was slowly starting to get me to ease into the idea of kids. I knew our values were different, and it's my fault for continuing things, but I loved her so much. She is my best friend, and she helped me out of the worst period of my life. About 2 years into our marriage, Pam became pregnant from what I believe to be a freak accident. Obviously, I didn't leave or get mad at her, just wanted to preface that. I took care of her and supported her throughout the entire pregnancy. Pam gave birth to my twin baby girls. They are my world, plain and simple. I feel sad and alone even after just a little work trip without them. Pam became a stay-at-home mother, something I was completely fine with. Recently, Pam became pregnant again, intentionally this time, and she was starting to become distant and had a look of shame whenever I tried to talk or be intimate with her. I have been trying to be the best husband possible, but she always insisted she was fine and tried to distract me by talking about our girls. I came home from work to find Pam slouched over crying in our bed. Our daughters were spending the night with my sister, so we were alone. When I came over to comfort her, she started sobbing about how sorry she was. After I consoled her enough to speak, she explained that she had poked holes in my condoms when we had sex when she first got pregnant with our baby girls. She didn't try to justify herself, just went on about how she was a piece of trash and it deserved me, the girls, or the baby. She was practically hyperventilating. I consoled her for the sake of the baby, but I was, and still am, angry. I've been sleeping in the guest room. I know that this is technically sexual assault, but I hate the idea of only seeing my daughters and baby half the time. Pam hasn't left our room since. I have to make her dinner after work. She looks so broken, saying that she'll move out if that's what I want. She's pregnant, so obviously I don't, but I'm still incredibly mad and sad. I still love her. I've known her for a decade and a half. She's been nothing but loving and supportive, and until now, very transparent with me. I just wanted to type this out to make sure my feelings, which I know are justified, are truly justified. My little girls have been the only reason I'm not breaking down and sobbing. I know I'm weak for thinking about forgetting about this. I'm still thinking about divorcing my wife after the baby's born, but I would still want her to live with me. I know, pathetic. I'm taking the next few days off work. Now for the top comments before reading the update. There's absolutely nothing pathetic about being hurt by and still wanting someone you love. People do stupid, horrible things, especially when they're hyper-focused. It sounds like your wife has issues with her betrayal, and she's attempting to take ownership of what she's done. Before you divorce her, think about if that's what you want. Don't worry about what you think others would expect you to do. If you are willing to forgive her and give her the opportunity to earn your trust back, then that's what you should do. It sounds like you're rightfully pissed off, but it also sounds like you're more concerned with your family and keeping them together. If that's ultimately what you want and you can live with it, then that's what you should do. If you know you can't get past it, then make the necessary changes for what you're able to accept. If it's divorce, it's divorce. My point here is that you don't have to leave because you believe that's what is expected or what you should do. If you leave, make it because it's what you actually want. Also, give it some time before you make a decision. You don't want to decide your future when you feel angry, hurt, and betrayed. I really hope things work out for you. I wish you the best. Thank you for the take based on reality. It feels like too many people get too hung up on doing what's expected of them. Real life is never so black and white, even for situations where one has been clearly wronged. I agree. That was excellent advice, and you're totally right about things not being black and white. Reddit is notorious, in my opinion, for having these really strong right and wrong takes, and life is just so much more complicated than that. I'm a woman, child-free by choice. I've always been so careful with my birth control, and I don't think I would be able to come back from finding out a partner sabotaged it. I also don't know that, in your situation, with children I'm attached to and another on the way, I would be willing to append my life and have them in primary custody of the person who did that. But again, I am not sure I could forgive it. I don't have advice regarding divorce or working it out. I will say that I would consider a vasectomy, particularly if you decide to stay. Even if you are able to forgive it, I don't think you should trust that again. The absolute hell with him considering a vasectomy. She should be the one sterilized, if anything. Why should he be sterilized because he was the victim of sexual assault? Now for the updates. Mini update. I'm going to bed. This entire situation is draining. I realized that I need to talk to my wife about this immediately and can't just leave things in the air. I will also look into getting therapy immediately. Thanks again for your advice. Update. This is a given, but thank you for taking the time to read and respond to the ramblings of my current situation. From giving me advice and telling me to suck it up, thank you. I'm 100% going to couples therapy with Pam and also therapy for myself. She's doing better, not as stressed out as she was before. No, I am not throwing Pam out of the house while she is 5 months pregnant. She's still being a recluse in our room, making me have to do her usual responsibilities. I was able to have a nice outing with my little girls. We saw Moana too. Lol. I guess I'm just here to say that I'm doing fine and we'll be getting professionals to help us through this. The simple matter of fact is that Pam betrayed me, but I still love her so much. Some people were telling me to DNA test my children, but there have been no signs of any affairs. I don't think I could even handle that kind of news if it were true. Even if we do end up getting divorced, I will never tell our family about what Pam did. She's still the mother of my children, and I don't want my family to think less of her. The same goes for my daughters. I don't want them to think they're the product of something like that, and I especially don't want them to think that I resent them. That's all, I guess. You're being an extremely generous person in this situation. I'm glad you and Pam are doing the work with therapy and trying to bridge this situation. Personally, the fact that your wife is still being a recluse and having you take care of everything at home really grinds my gears. She was the one who wronged you, and somehow she is the one acting like the victim and withdrawing from everything? The shoe really should be on the other foot, and she should be the one giving you space to process everything. I do think that you need to allow yourself to feel the emotions you want to feel. You seem to be doing the guy thing of being very outwardly focused on making sure your girls are taken care of, that the household is continuing to run, and solving problems that come up. I'm concerned you're focusing on everyone else so you don't have to deal with your own emotions, and eventually, you'll hit a boiling point. One small thing Pam does or doesn't do will set you off, and you'll explode on her. Then suddenly, you're the angry man yelling at your wife, and you're the bad guy. Don't put yourself in that position. I agree with all of this. OP, you have to ask, why did she tell you when she did? Why has she closed herself off to you? There are more details to uncover here, so please be prepared for it as best you can. OP, I am a mother to 3, and while I would never do what your wife did, there is also no way in hell I would shut my husband out and force him to do all my jobs as a stay-at-home mom on top of his actual job while I throw myself a pity party for wronging him. I'm imagining her guilt has made her depressed. Not that it makes any of what she did better, but it would explain why she's acting that way now. The way I see it, it's perfectly normal for her to feel bad about it, but I don't like her locking herself in her room and playing the victim. She stays there crying and moping around while you, who were lied to, have to get on with it all. If your wife feels so guilty, she should do something about it. I find it terrible that she plays the victim role. You were hurt by her actions, but you are the one who comforts her. That is wrong. You say couples therapy and that you're going to therapy, but you don't say whether your wife is seeing a therapist. That's an essential part of this. It would be wrong of me to try to say what's going on in her head, but it seems apparent that there's something wrong. The root cause of her desperate action may not have anything to do with you. For example, if a person were afraid of losing their partner, they might do something to try to keep them. But having a fear so big that it could motivate her to do something so life-changing, it seems there's a serious problem there, whether depression or some other issue. You need to start exploring this before she has the baby in order to prepare. Depression is seldom cured by childbirth. Next story. My 38 male wife, 35 female, lost a lot of weight to gain the attention of her work crush. How do I move forward? After we had our kids, my wife gained a lot of weight, about 80 pounds. Honestly, I was fine with it. I thought she was still hot, and my desire for intimacy never waned. For a while, she was fine with her weight too. Fast forward 5 years, and all of a sudden, my wife gets really into fitness and nutrition. She buys a Peloton, goes on a strict diet, and loses all the weight, and then some. She looks like she did when I met her in her early 20s. She looks great, but like I said, I thought she looked great heavy too. Then one day last week, she comes home from work and I can tell something is really bothering her. I ask what's wrong, but she's evasive and distant. This lasts a few days before she finally breaks. She tells me that the reason she was so determined to lose weight was that she wanted attention from a guy at work she has a crush on. She said that all the women have a crush on this guy, and she just wanted his attention. Well, apparently she got too much of it on the day she came home so upset. He had apparently been flirting with my wife for a few weeks, and that day he asked her if she wanted to have dinner with him after work at a restaurant that just so happens to be in a hotel. He heavily implied that they could get a room afterward or even skip the restaurant and just get room service. She tells me that up to this point, it was all just fantasy in her head, but now it was real, and she snapped out of it. She realized that she'd gone way too far. She declined his invitation, of course, and felt she needed to confess what she'd done to me. I was crushed and still am. First, I'm actually upset she told me. I know this is some form of cheating, but I didn't suspect anything. She could have just kept this to herself and not passed her burden on to me. So the thought comes to my mind that maybe she wants me to dump her so she can be with this guy, and that's why she is telling me. So I ask her that and she breaks down crying. That's not what she wants. She says she loves me and just wanted to be honest with me and apologize. Nothing physical happened, I'm pretty sure of it. I can track her phone and also have a pretty free access to it. She never hides it, leaves it everywhere, and that phone never leaves work. I suppose she could be cheating on her lunch break and leave the phone, but I just don't think she'd leave the phone and not be available for the kids. So I don't think I want a divorce. I love her, and we have kids. But it's just eating at me that she did all the work she did to be attractive for another man. I don't know where to go or even what to ask of her. I just need some advice. You need couples counseling ASAP. Without that, a clear path forward will be tough to find unless something else happens. No, this is over. She has been emotionally cheating for months and was very close to taking it further. This would not be some overnight journey. She has been actively going after the guy's attention and flirting with him for months now. A bit of attention or harmless flirting this is not. This is well beyond that. And the flirting got heavy enough that the guy proposed a hotel hookup with a married woman. Unless she was hiding that she was married from him, which only makes this even worse. This is well beyond getting any couples counseling. He needs to simply get out. There is absolutely no excuse or valid reason for going after another man or woman actively for months at a time and flirting to beat the competition at work. Not to mention, the husband has been nothing but supportive. He continued to love her, said she was still hot, and was only supportive of her weight gain/loss. This is just not acceptable from your wife or husband. Honestly, the main thing that should stick out is that she did all of this to get the attention of another man. She claims she didn't go through with it, but honestly, it sounds like trickle truth. Personally, I don't think I could be with someone who committed so heavily for what I imagine must have been an extended period of time to lose 80 pounds for another man, when the man she had loved her no matter her weight. Think about it. All that time she was focusing on her health, she was really focusing on getting another guy. Don't matter if she went through with it or not. I'm waiting for the update of, turns out my wife actually did go up to his hotel room, and it's only when they moved from foreplay to sex did she realize how wrong it all was. She definitely needs therapy individually to explore what caused that behavior, then couples counseling to work on being a better couple together. If you can't move on after that, at least you tried. Last story. My parents named me after a fantasy TV show character, and it's deeply affected my life. I was born just after the first season of the show. They decided to name me after one of the main characters, but it's not her actual name. Instead, it's her title. It's pretty dumb. I've been bullied and made fun of because of it in school. You can probably guess what it is. It's from a dark fantasy TV show with lots of swords and a big throne. When I was growing up, I liked the name because of how unique it is. I remember a teacher asking me if I was telling the truth when I told her my name when I was about 6-ish. I didn't really understand stuff like that back then. I'm considering getting my name changed, but it feels a little wrong to do so. I do feel like it is my own name and my parents did name me that. Because of my name, I got into horses and horseback riding. Emulation, I suppose. I am who I am because of it, but the bullying recently is getting to me. Lots of riding jokes. I don't hate my parents or anything, but I did feel angry at them today over it. Now for the comments. Wow, the Khaleesi's are old enough to post on Reddit? Boy, am I old. Recently saw Moana 2, and when the credits started rolling, one of the child voice actors' name is Khaleesi. Oof, my friend named her kid Daenerys before the end of the show. She's probably in middle school by now. I dislike my name too. It's unisex, so very often people who haven't met me assume I'm the opposite gender. My name is more often used as a nickname, so people assume I have a real name other than that. I can't complain to my parents because they said it was a name my late uncle who died when I was 2 suggested. It came from a Beatles song. Many years ago, after the mini-series Roots was shown, there was a couple in my town who named their son Kunta Kinte. Years later, in the personal section of the paper, I saw a public notice that said Kunta Kinte wanted to change his given name to John. I hope his parents didn't do a reverse Roots and whip him for insisting his name is John and not Kunta Kinte. Would have been pretty fun if it changed it to Toby though. This post should be pinned in every baby name sub. Yeah, I feel like some parents don't get the idea of just how impactful a name actually is. It's the child who will actually be called that.